Hello 574 subscribers. Today I'm going to show you how I built and sold an AI chatbot for an insurance agency which does about $20 million per year and has 100 plus employees. First, I'll show you how I found and reached out to this company. Then I'll show you the overall structure. Then we'll jump to the Voiceflow so that you can see the chatbot backend as well as the knowledge base. We have three main tools. Essentially, we have two, Voiceflow and Voiceflow API. So this is one tool, as well as a few website crawlers. Now let's jump to the prototype so that you can see how it works. Before starting, this is the company. I will use a few FAQs for this specific demo, as well as one spreadsheet with class codes. So we can start chatting with this bot pretty freely, like, hi, how are you? Let's say that we'll ask a question about the class code. So what is 0067 class? So we got this information. Maybe we will ask something this. Obviously, I'm just copying and pasting this question so that it's easier for you to see, but you can ask any sort of similar question and it will find an answer. This is a very comprehensive reply. This is specified. I'll show you when I'll go over the backend. You'll see why it's providing the huge replies with HTML formatting. Maybe we can say, let's ask something like, what is the coal mining surface? What is the code for let's say coal mining surface, Okay, so it's 1005. Let's check it. So 1005. Okay, guys, I think you got the idea. Obviously, we'll review it more when I'll discuss how it actually is structured. First, how I found this company. As some of you know, I run cold outreach a lot, basically cold emails. And this is how we found this client. It was 3 months ago. Essentially, we were running a campaign targeting insurance companies. Please understand that I will not show you the actual first email that we use, since it's I'm not comfortable sharing this information. If you are gonna start outreach, I don't want you to use the same exact templates that I do, but you can watch all of my videos about cold emails where I explain how it works, what is my structure and the infrastructure, and what are the thesis behind writing cold emails. Essentially, I reached out to this person automatically. Obviously, the lead list was scraped from the source called Apollo.io, I think. So we scraped this lead from the list of insurance agencies from Apollo. Then we reached out to all of them. We got the reply from this person. And as you can see, hi Eugene, I'm intrigued. Feel free to send me some available dates. We were going essentially back and forth. And I built multiple prototypes and the demos for this company. And then they considered to move forward with the actual solution. Now, so let's hop on here so that I can show you how everything is set up so that you can get an idea on what is the backend of the chatbot. Essentially, we have a user question, and then for the context, we use some business data. Business data consists of four main materials, essentially the brand notes. Brand notes are usually a handwritten information from either a business owner or from a sales department on how they want to interact, how they want users, their clients, to interact with this chatbot. For example, what is the tone of the conversation? Do we want to use emojis or not? Or if there are very specific questions, for example, with the class codes, how do we want to behave? So what information we want to get from the user on what stages. So these are essentially brand notes. Then we also have FAQs, and I'll show you how it's set up because it's different from general info. Obviously, general info is just the information from the website, which we get from the website crawlers, but the FAQs are a bit different. So these are the exact questions and answers that business has. I forgot to mention one thing. Obviously, this is just the prototype. It's not the final solution first, because the final solution is bigger. The biggest part is connecting to their external apps, to the essentially softwares that they use. They use HubSpot. So we are connecting this thing to the HubSpot to retrieve the information dynamically about their customers. But this is the side of the bot that answers users' queries about their services. So this is the demo, and I have this available for free in my resource hub, so you can just copy and paste it to your project and use it freely. So first link in the description, just letting you know. So I'll show you how the FAQs are structured, and I say that they are input into the assistant using Voiceflow APIs, because you don't have an ability right now to specify this is the question, this is the answer. You can upload it as a regular, like document, but it's not the best way. So I'll show you how to provide as much FAQs as you want. Then we have the spreadsheet as the class code, and we are also uploading it to the Voiceflow using the Voiceflow API. Sorry. Yeah, so we have multiple spreadsheets like this, but for this specific sake, we're just using one. Okay. So, and general info, which are essentially like website crawlers that crawls all the information about the company, structure it in, let's say, a markdown format, and then we upload this information to the knowledge base of this specific assistant. Now, let's go one by one. We'll obviously skip the brand notes since it's not as relevant, but now let's go to the FAQs. Or it's better, yeah, so it's better to show you how the actual thing is structured, and then we'll like jump into the submitting the info to the knowledge base. Okay, so when we start the assistant, we set up two variables. The first one is the bot description. This is like an essentially since we will have a response AI steps, so we are asking, okay, AI, this is the user question, respond to the user question using this prompt. So we are providing the guidelines, but as a system prompt, we are using this specific information so that AI knows that it works for a company, for an insurance company, that the name of this assistant is Bob. You can put anything here. Essentially, this is like a system prompt. So Voiceflow API key, we will use it since we are calling the API of the knowledge base inside Voiceflow. Again, there are multiple ways to retrieve information from the Voiceflow knowledge base. So I'll like show you what we use, but you can use whatever. So essentially we are saving this information into the Voiceflow API variable and this information into the bot description. Now, the first step is just the greeting. Hi, how may I help you? Be short, just one sentence, add one emoji. Okay. Now we're capturing the user reply. And this is one of the most important steps. I receive the questions a lot about this specific function. This is a function called memory. Essentially, it saves all the conversation history with the user to one specific variable called custom memory. So again, if you copy this template for free, guys, don't worry. So you copy this template and paste it, it will have this function here. So if you go to functions, it will have two get knowledge base chunks as well as the memory. So this is the function. You don't need to change anything here. You can just come here and it will be like basically here you choose the function, or if you want to add one, you go to def function and then you choose here. And you need to map the variables. Again, in my template, it will be already mapped. So essentially you're providing the variable. So last utterance is the last utterance from the user. When I say, hi, how are you? And my question. So these are the utterances. Custom memory, like previous custom memory, because after each step, so let's say I say, hi, bot respond, then I say, how are you? So each step, on each step, we need to update the memory, right? So we need to provide the previous memory as well as the last utterance, as well as the last response. Last response is the response that bot provides to the user. So when I say hi, this is the last utterance, but bot says, hi, how are you doing? This is the bot response, right? So we need to save utterance, response, and the previous memory into one new variable called custom memory. Just letting you know. But again, if you copy my template, you'll have it. Okay, now, so here this is the kind of the most important step. We call it the classification step, and I needed to color this block so that it's easier for you to see, but I think you'll get the idea. Essentially, this is the set AI step here. We are providing the prompt. As you can see, it is really well structured, and we are actually testing this format. Like, let's say this is the last user utterance, but instead of just providing the last utterance variable, we are also pasting it inside the tags so that it's easier for AI to understand. So the idea is that we have 3 classification of a user input. So the first one is just what we call conversational input. So it's like, hi, how are you? What's the weather? Like something like very generic, which is not related to the business. And as you can see here, we say that if the conversation utterance, if it's a conversational utterance, output 1. So, and this in the example, we provide, hi, how are you? What's the weather? Like, I feel bad, etc. So these are conversational utterances. So the AI needs to output 1. If the utterance is a business related utterance, output 2. Essentially business related, like, what's your business name? What do you sell? What is like this product? What is like, essentially all of these FAQs are classified as a business related utterances. So the AI outputs 2. And also if the information is related to the class code, output 3 if the utterance related to class code. So let's say, and in the example, what is the class code? What about this class code? So essentially, like I say, basically all questions where a 4-digit number code is involved. In the real use case, we have a huge, like we have like kind of 2 of the like similar size flows goes after the class code flow. I just don't feel like you need this info because it's very, very specific to this business, because most of the 70% of this business questions and interactions with the users are designed around the class codes. And as you can see, they currently have the live chat. We are in the process of integrating this thing into the website, but they are still using the live chat essentially. And how we got this information about the 70% is that we exported all the conversation history in the live chat, and then analyzed that. We asked the AI to analyze the whole conversation and provide the statistics on the most common questions users ask. Okay, so now we have kind of three outputs, 1, 2, and 3, depending on the classification. And now the rules, you must always output only, as you can see, this is like the big capital letters with the bold formatting, so that AI knows that the only thing that it needs to output is either 1, 2, or 3, just the numbers. So this is the thing. And for the model, it's very important to use the best model possible and to lower temperature down, because we just need strictly to follow the prompt. Okay, now, so it will, depending on the user utterance, it will output either 1, 2, or 3. Then we have a condition where we essentially check the variable. Sorry, I forgot that it will output 1, 2, 3, and then save this output 1, 2, 3 to the intent identifier variable. Then we check this variable. So let's say if the intent identifier is 1, it means that this is the conversational utterance. Go here. If the intent identifier variable is 2, it means that this is the business related utterance. Go to the second flow. Same thing with the class code, right? So if this is 3, go here. Okay, now let's go one by one. For the conversational, it's pretty easy. We're saying your goal is to answer a last utterance based on the conversation history context, because we just have the context that we saving into this custom memory variable using these functions. So essentially we're providing, okay, so this is the last user utterance, output guidelines, be creative, use markdown for the formatting, add one emoji, and concise. And now we're saying, okay, so this is the conversation history with the user, and we are providing the custom memory variable. If you see here, we're saving this this output into the custom memory variable. So essentially, let's say we say hi. So here, let's actually see. So if we type hi, it will classify it as a conversational thing, right? So now, since this function was completed, inside the custom memory variable, there is this specific response from the bot, our utterance, as well as this response. So we say, how are you? Now, again, this is also a conversational thing, and it will like provide us an answer. So now it ran this function again, and it again resaved all the conversation history into the custom memory variable. And essentially here in the prompt, we are providing this variable as a context. I think you got the idea. Then when the user inputs, so let's say I'm good, how are you? Then when we say I'm also good, it saves the information again and it goes back. Okay, so I think you got the idea. Now for the business related thing. When the AI classifies an utterance as the business related thing, we are calling our knowledge base. You do have an ability to use a response AI here and say, like, do the same thing, right? So essentially, your goal is to respond to the last user utterance using the knowledge base. So here you put the knowledge base in the question, you kind of do last utterance, and you provide all of these instructions. And you can ask me, okay, Eugene, so why are you calling the Voiceflow API? So like we are doing the same thing. So I'm doing here, I'll explain what does the chunks mean, but essentially we're doing like exactly the same thing as you can do here. The only difference is in the quality of data to process. Okay, so the idea is that, let's say we have a knowledge base inside Voiceflow, right? So this is the knowledge base. So you uploaded the URLs, so you uploaded the spreadsheet. I'll show you how to do that because, again, in the sources, you don't have the spreadsheet, you don't have the FAQs, so you need to do that through the APIs, and I'll show you how to do it next. But let's say we have this data. So since it's a vector database, Voiceflow chunks this down into the chunks essentially. So let's say when we click this data source, as you can see, these are the chunks that the Voiceflow got from this source. And when we have a question here, right? So when we are, let's say, doing the response AI, and we are providing, okay, so this is the question, these are the instructions, like 1, 2, 3, 4. So essentially what it's doing, it's on the backend, it's trying to find the most relevant chunks to this utterance and then providing a response based on these chunks. I don't like this method, since what I like is just to get the chunks, because there are multiple steps, right? We can visualize it here. So let's say we have an utterance. Let's say we have an utterance that, like this specific, where is it? So this specific blocks call Voiceflow knowledge base, right? So it calls the Voiceflow knowledge base. Retrieve the chunks. Let's say there are 3 chunks that we want to retrieve, and you can specify it here. So for example, if you go to the settings, you can specify, okay, so how many chunks you would want to get for each question. More chunks, more data you'll have, but let's say if it's just one question and you have a specific answer to this question, you might not need all of the chunks, so you can play around with this function. But the idea is that it retrieves 3 chunks and then provides an output based on our prompt, right? it might seem like it's doing that. But here in the middle, it also processes these chunks by the default Voiceflow prompt, right? I want to have the full control of the data that we work with. So essentially, by removing this default step, what we are doing here, we are calling the Voiceflow API and only getting these chunks, right? So here, essentially, we are like calling this API, we're doing the authorization, accept, and here in the raw data, like these are like the settings. It's like the same thing that you provide here, kinda. So you provide the model, you provide the system, chunks, max tokens, temperature. So you kind of do the same thing, but using the API body here, right? So the chunk limit, the settings, model, temperature, system, and the user question. For the user question, obviously this is the last utterance variable, and for the system prompt, again, this is like the exact same prompt that we got from the knowledge base. And we're using the GPT-4o model, and the temperature is 0.4. So, okay, now let's say we are, okay, so for the Voiceflow, let's test it out. Where is it? So if we go here and the Voiceflow API token, so let's copy this thing and let's go here. Where is it? Okay, so let's go here, send. And for the last utterance, let's actually get, this question. So if we generate the response, as you can see, it, so it got the output, a premium audit. This is like the information essentially. And we have a chunk limit of 2. So we are essentially getting the information about this company based on our prompt. So then what we do with this information, let's say we have multiple chunks that we receive from the knowledge base. And what this JavaScript essentially does is it groups these chunks, like multiple ones, since here we specify that for each utterance, for each question, we want to get 2 chunks. So we group these 2 chunks into one big chunk and save it into the KB chunks variable. Okay, so in here we have a prompt. So essentially we're providing the goal. Your goal is to answer last user utterance based on the knowledge base, since we got the chunks from this knowledge base, right? As well as the conversation history. So, and this is one of the most interesting part, which not a lot of like YouTubers and reviewers that review different flows do, and say that like this is the only way how you can get the response from a knowledge base and provide an answer to the user based not only on the context from the knowledge base, but as well as the conversation history. So let's say if we are using like just this step, it will answer, so the knowledge base will only answer this question using like these instructions, but it will not understand the conversation history. So if we do want to provide a response to the user based on both conversation history as well as the knowledge base, you need to call the knowledge base API, get the information into the chunks, save it in the variable, and then you say, okay, so this is your goal. This is the last user utterance. These are kind of the rules. Be creative, use the markdown formatting. And for the guidelines, you can ask a user question if it's needed by the knowledge base. Okay, so this is just the additional guidelines. And this is the knowledge base context. So again, since here we saved the information into all the chunks, we saved in one variable called KB context. So we are providing these chunks as a knowledge base context, right? Jesus Christ. Okay, and now we kind of also provide a conversation history saved in Jesus Christ. Okay, sorry guys. So yeah, basically you provide the conversation history in the variable as well as the chunks here. So this is a master prompt where we specify the last user utterance, we specify the context from the knowledge base as well as the custom memory. And this is how you get the most precise answers possible. So like we're then waiting for the user reply, we're resaving the utterance and all the information into the memory variable and then go back. So each, like, let's say we provide the answer, then user asks another question, we go to the classifier back, we classify it, maybe this is now a question about the class code, and then we go to the class code. So for the class code, we kind of have the same thing. So essentially, we're querying the same knowledge base with like the same kind of parameters, but the difference is just in the prompt. So since this is an information that we want regarding the class codes, we're like, I'm saying add one color emoji. Guess as you can see, the class codes are in different colors, so add one emoji, and I think when output the big paragraph divided into the smaller prices. So yeah, so these are like kind of just the additional things that we mentioned. Okay, so now let's move into the most important part. The most important part is how do you actually create the accurate knowledge base. Obviously, as I mentioned, we have let's go back here. So we have, okay, so let's go back. So as I kind of mentioned, we have the FAQs, we have the spreadsheets, and we have the general info. Let's start with the general info. So for the general info, obviously what you can do, you can just copy the website, go to the, where is it? Go to here, add data source. So for example, the sitemap, home, do the sitemap, whatever, sitemap XML, and do like that. And as you can see, these are the actual, like the sitemap that I did yesterday, since this is just for the demo purposes, but it's not the best way to do that. The best way is just to crawl the website, since when you are scraping just using the Voiceflow functionality, so as you can see, the information is not structured. So you would want to structure this information in the markdown format. So how you do that is to using an external software. So Firecrawl is a very good software. I was recommended inside like a Discord community to the software. I was introduced essentially, and yeah, so this is like the test run that I did yesterday for the on this test account for this specific demo. So essentially, like when you log in here, you sign up. It is paid, so you need to pay for like $20 for like 3,000 pages. So essentially, you go here, you paste the URL of the company, and in the pages. So let's say wait for exclude tags, so you can kind of, or is it, I think no, so it's the single URL, so you need to crawl the whole website, and let's do the limit to 10, and let's exclude the kind of like the block path, right? So because we don't need the blocks for the specific company. Okay, so now if we run this thing, you will see the pages that it run, but as you can see, they are structured in the markdown format, and it's much easier for the AI to analyze it. So now you can copy this thing, go to your knowledge base, and paste it here. Now it's structured, and AI will have an easy time reading this information. Okay, but this is a long path. Especially if you are kind of working with like bigger sites with a lot of different pages. There are multiple softwares, but from what I aware, none of them are like, you can kind of do the automation using Make that will scrape, like that will connect to the, for example, Firecrawl's API through the API key, and will scrape the website and then put it automatically into the knowledge base. But to make it easier, there is a guy who made this specific thing. So this is a free crawler which is connected to Voiceflow. Guys, this is not he asked me to mention this. This is not the actual solution. Like, this is just the demo that he uses for himself, and he gave me the access. This thing like will be in my resource hub, so I'll send you the direct link, and there will be like an instruction on how to use it. But essentially, like, it is if you ever worked with the Voiceflow APIs, as you can see, it looks very similar. So like, this is the Voiceflow APIs and this is the crawler. It's using the same front end. So essentially here you can crawl the website, so you can provide the URL. It will crawl the website, then it will properly structure it, and you can automatically, using the update provider completed crawl results, you can upload this crawled info into the Voiceflow. First, you don't need to pay for the fire crawl, plus you don't need to copy and paste this thing. But again, it's just the demo. It's free, and I will send you all the information. All the information and the instruction will be in my resource hub. So again, first link in the description. Anyways, so this is how you actually get the formatted data from the website and put it to your knowledge base. Okay, so this is this thing. Okay. Now for the spreadsheets and FAQs. Unfortunately, again, there is no way to submit this info using the Voiceflow native functionality here, so you would need to use Voiceflow APIs. It's not as hard as it seems. If if you ever work with APIs, it should not be a problem. So essentially, they have, as you can see here, you go to the Voiceflow documentation, API references, and they have FAQ API endpoints. It's gonna be whatever, like sunset in a week, essentially. So. But I was using it since it was still available. You can like test it out, but like you can essentially provide the question here. You provide the authorization API key. So you go to your API key here, you copy the key, you go here, you provide it in the header. So, and it creates the request automatically. And this is the that's why I'm saying it's pretty easy, since you can do everything inside this documentation page. You don't need any external software like Postman. So essentially, you provide your header with the API key, and let's say the name of the FAQ set, like test, and then you say question one, and then answer one. And now, if you try it, this is it was initialized. So this question and this answer was sent to our knowledge base. But again, unfortunately, we do not see it natively here. It's there on the backend, but you cannot see it inside the interface, okay? So, but again, if you have like hundreds of different questions, it's not an option to do it manually. Like, yeah, sure, you can technically do this, but I use the Postman. I have a collection with the Voiceflow like APIs right now. There's 2 FAQs in the tables. Again, FAQs are not going to be relevant in a week, but still. So this is like the same thing. So you're providing the endpoint for the headers, you do the authorization and the content type. And for the body here, you can see you structure the data the same way as you do it here, data FAQs, but question, answer, question, answer, question, answer. And you can get this info using any like model, for example, ChatGPT. So let's say you can like go in my knowledge base, copy this thing, import it into your Postman, and copy this request, paste it to your ChatGPT and say, hey, I have hundreds of questions. And let's say you upload a spreadsheet with all of the questions. Please format all of them using like this format. It will create a huge, huge data set. You can just copy it, paste it here, send, and it will be sent to your knowledge base. I will probably record another video going more in depth into this thing, but yeah. Okay, so this is how you work with the FAQs for right now, but in a week, we will all work with just the tabular data. So if you go to the document API endpoints, you have the, upload table data. So essentially, this is how you upload the tabular, like CSV files, but you cannot upload the file itself. What you do is you need to structure the call as the CSV, and then you send it to the Voiceflow. Again, you can do it here, like inside the interface, but I have a postman request. So essentially, like, this is the post request to the knowledge base, to the docs upload table. For the headers, we have the same thing, but now in the body, this is kind of the structure. So we have the data, name, schema. These are kind of the columns. So we have a column called class. So here, class, description, and acceptability, whatever. So we have 3 columns here, and this is like one item: class, description, this, class, description, this. So this is like, and when we send this information, it will classify it as a table and save in your knowledge base as you can see, table codes. So if you click, these are like rows, right? Class 0005. If you check, so let's say class 00 farm, we have a description farm and acceptability yellow. So like, I was not uploading this information. And so like, and these are separate chunks, right? So this is one chunk, this is second chunk, this is third chunk, and that's where when you are asking a question to the knowledge base, it can provide you a much more accurate response. Okay. Yeah, so like, it's kind of easy, but again, if you have a huge table, there is no way to do it manually. Same thing, just copy this thing, Control A, Control C. I have a, where is it? I have table, Voiceflow table. So like in the Claude, I created an agent called Voiceflow table. So you can just, copy this thing and go, hey, like create, please, like, and upload the file, analyze my CSV, and get the information from my CSV and format it in this format that I provided above, right? Then you have all the information, you copy it, paste it here, send. Obviously, you need to change the headers to your API token that you got from here, from the integration, and that's it. So you will upload the information into the knowledge base as the tabular data. Okay, I think you got the idea, right? So we, brand notes, we usually upload as text, here, plain text. So brand note as text, FAQs, okay, so this is like the tabular data. This will be the same thing using the APIs. You can either use the, native Voiceflow API interface, or you can just go to my resource hub and upload this. I'll actually share it, right? So I'll share this collection with you. So you can upload it to the Postman. If you don't know how to do that, Google how to upload the collection to Postman and it will provide you an answer. Okay, and for the general info, website crawlers, either use the fire crawl. It's very easy. I would, like, if this is the production project, I would suggest you to use the fire crawl, since first they have a support, it's much more stable. This thing doesn't have any support, obviously. Shout out to the guy in the Discord who made it work. I'm planning to record more in-depth video on the crawling and like actually guiding you through this thing, how to make it work, as well as how to structure information properly in your Voiceflow knowledge base, but not for now. So basic information will be in my resource hub. Okay, guys, I think you got the idea of how everything is set up. If it's helpful, click a like button. If it's not, well, okay, I guess not. Thanks for watching. Peace.